For being with us this morning. We've got a terrifying story to tell you today because, for one thing, it could happen to anyone and spread so quickly and damage your life forever.
And we're talking about revenge porn and cyber harassment. There are internet sites that make it easy for a spurn lover to post compromising photos online for all to see without their permission or knowledge. As we said, it could happen to anyone. In the case of our next guest, it happened to a well-known celebrity in Pittsburgh, and now she's sharing her horrific experience in order to help other victims heal and fight back through a program that she has developed called 50 Shades of Silence.
We are honored today to have TV personality, author, and entrepreneur Darieth Chisholm here to bravely tell her story of this online nightmare again with the hopes of helping others. Hey, Darieth.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You know what's incredible is I think these things happen and no one knows about it. You were going through this, and I watched your video that you posted on your website, 50 Shades of Silence, about living with this embarrassment and shame for so long.
Lots of people don't know about it. There are a number of people, and my research shows thousands of people who are living in this sense of shame and guilt and pain, locked away in silence for fear of being judged or humiliated. And it is a very challenging emotion. And I was there for many months and wasn't sure about telling my story. I mean, given my celebrity, my credibility, wondering whether or not that could be impacted. And then it occurred to me that if I don't use my voice, if I don't share this story, and if I don't help others, that I'm literally doing myself and others a disservice.
That's incredibly brave of you.
Right.
What happened exactly, Darieth? Can you tell us? Minus some of the details, but as much as possible.
Yeah, so on January 1st of this year, I got a phone call from an ex-boyfriend who threatened me. He told me he would kill me. He said he would stab me in my heart and shoot me in my head. And
had he threatened you before?
No. In fact, I had left the relationship several months prior to that. I hadn't heard from him in several months. So that really came as a surprise that in 2 in the morning I get this phone call.
Why? What prompted it? Do you know?
The conversations after that were, come back to the relationship. I want you back.
So a spurned lover.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Scorned.
Very scorned. And clearly that was not going to happen. And after finding out a lot of things, I decided to leave the relationship, one of which being a very controlling nature. And so obviously that made me very fearful and very afraid. And
so he wasn't just drunk, or this wasn't some rant, or you were convinced that he was serious?
In the beginning, I wasn't quite sure how to take it. I mean, if you've ever been threatened, you
Right.
take it seriously. I would imagine it was New Year's Eve. He probably had been drinking. But that's really where this all began, because it didn't stop. There were consistent texts and posts and messages to me that were, come back, I miss you, to, I hate you, to everything in between. And I continued to not pay attention to it, to literally, reject him, and at some points thought about blocking it. And then I realized that this was escalating. And one day I picked up the phone and there was a harassing meme with a bunch of lies on it. And then the next day were photos of me naked that he had taken while I was asleep living with him. He had taken them probably about a year before that, and he had them. I didn't even know that.
And they're on what website? I'm sorry.
Well, they were on his cell phone,
Okay.
and he was sending them to me as text messages.
Oh, okay.
They continued for a while, and as I begged him, please stop, and he said, well, I'll stop if you come back to the relationship. That, of course, didn't happen, and then he put up a website. And so he put the website up and proceeded to call my friends and business and coaching clients and people that I work with, and on the phone literally walk them to it so that they could see me this way.
So what are you doing during this whole process? Because this is traumatic. You've already decided that this is somebody you do not want in your life, but you can't stop this individual from harassing you. So now that this website's up, what did you do next?
Well, I mean,
were you still on the air at Channel 11?
Oh, no,
at the
no,
time?
this just happened this year.
Okay,
So,
all right.
but I was still very much, I literally traveled out of the country 3 times. I had multiple speaking events. I was have been very busy.
Very
and so
visible.
this was literally making me as I didn't even know where to turn, quite frankly,
Right.
because I was so afraid. I didn't want anyone to see me in these compromising photos.
Right.
And then I had a friend say to me, "You did nothing wrong. He took these without your knowledge. You were sleeping. You could see I was sleeping. You know, he's the one who's to blame here. And hurt people hurt people."
Right.
And that is the saddest part about this. I mean, I think that is where this whole issue of abuse is in this day and age.
So,
And by the way, the website is shut down. The pictures have been scrubbed, so
That's
that
fantastic.
yeah, I had it shut down.
Go
so.
ahead though with that what you just said. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Hurt people who are hurting
Right.
lash out and hurt.
Right.
And in this case, I mean, you know, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but you know, he has a very sociopathic, narcissist attitude. So you have to, if you're going to continue to do this and not stop.
Yeah, but isn't this a little over the top?
Oh,
I mean,
this is
didn't he-
extremely over the top. But here's the issue. This happens
To a lot of
every
people.
day to thousands of people. It is more prevalent than most people realize.
well, and I think the other thing too is these pictures were taken without your knowledge, but in some cases you're in a trusting relationship. Some may take the pictures even with knowledge, but not expecting anybody to ever do anything with
Yeah.
them. And these people are also still victims.
Yeah, of course. Of course. You don't give someone permission to shame you in this
Right.
way and do it consistently. And as we know on the internet, things move by the nanosecond.
Right.
And so if it gets out onto the internet, that increases one's feeling of shame and embarrassment that, you know, and it's hard to track and hard to trace. And that is another issue that we're facing, is that some internet companies do not move swiftly enough to remove content. And a victim has got to go through the rigors of going to court to seek court orders that could take months and thousands of dollars.
I think that we should mention this morning we actually have a crew here that's working on a documentary, because part of all of this is you kind of go into battle for the victims and trying to get more done to help shut down these websites and prosecute those that are responsible.
Now, you asked me what did I do after that. Well, after I literally picked myself up and decided emotionally that I'm not available for this, that I would use my tools, my resources, my voice, and come out, talk about it, but also to film a documentary. So I'm very grateful that my crew is in the studio filming us, filming me, filming you, but as pieces over the next year to literally capture the stories of victims and advocates worldwide. We have a number of people that are lined up in multiple states and in some instances in some countries that are prepared to talk about this. And it's not just my story, it's the story of other victims. It is, you know, these internet companies that need to be more responsible and move quickly to remove content. The biggest issue that we face, in my opinion, is the lack of legislation that protects victims. There, in some cases, in 38 states, there's some legislation in place, but it has no teeth. They're misdemeanors.
Well,
And
I
is this
think
is
here in
this
Pennsylvania.
is this because it's so new, Darius?
It's partly because it's so
just
new.
it's just started, and
Yeah.
not in the last generation, but in the last couple of years.
2013, I believe, is literally some of the first case laws. And some, you know, I've got some interviews lined up with some of the writers of literally some of the first legislation that was used in California, and now some of the other states have adopted. So we'll look at all of those pieces as part of this documentary.
And so tell us more about 50 Shades of Silence and the project as a whole. What are you hoping to do?
It is a multi-media project. As we talked about the documentary, the website is now up. We just launched it, and we have a number of different resources for victims, how to get content taken down. I will say that some of the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, have provided really nice guidelines on how to get content removed relatively quickly. So we've got that on our website, including resources for a 1-800 number if someone needs to call and get help right away. At the website, we're also encouraging people to share their story. And it doesn't have to be, as much as we are still looking for people to be a part of the documentary and ultimately part of an anthology, if you just need to share it in a safe space and to talk about it, you have a place to do that. And there's no judgment, and it doesn't have to go public. That was so important for me. Journaling was a big part of how I got through this. And so I encourage people to write about it, to talk about it, to to get the support that they need. And so the website is there. And then we also have a crowd fund in place so that if people, if their heart encourages them to donate to this project, there's some opportunities for them to do that at the website as well.
Well, Darieth,
Wonderful.
we love you for sharing with
Yes,
us.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Thank
you're so
brave.
You are brave, and you're a good
appreciate
woman. And thank you, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
You're helping a lot of people, that's
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
sure are.
Okay, thanks, Darieth. And to learn more about Darieth, just launched global movement to help victims of cyber harassment online. We have a link to the 50 Shades of Silence video introduction and website posted for you at kdka.com/PTL. Thank you again
And-
for being here.
You bet.
Thank you.